What's up, guys? Welcome to the Nice Catch Podcast, where we are here to catch you up on all the latest football news and analysis. I'm Baden.
And I'm Hank. And today we will be diving deep into the 2026 NFL Draft. Last episode we gave you an overview and, well, I'll admit, some of my opinions on that have changed a good bit. But we'll be diving in deeper on what we think this draft will look like. And because we're diving in deeper, we'll cover most of the things that I think have changed. So we'll start with a top 6 minus number 1 because, well, we all know Fernando Mendoza is going number 1. It would be the surprise of a decade more than that if Fernando Mendoza didn't go number 1.
Yeah.
But we'll jump in talking about the rest of the top 6, talk about some trades that could happen, some interesting teams that we could see trade up or what they're going to do with their double first-round picks, and then some other players I've had a really hard time mocking, seeing where they're going to go, or just players that I think are going to determine how this draft falls. So let's jump right in to the top 5, and, well, top 6. Top 5 if you don't count number 1.
Yeah, it's a given.
Exactly.
Basically.
So we talked about last time that the Jets most likely are going to take Arvell Reese or David Bailey, and then the Cardinals will take whichever one of those they don't take.
Yeah.
Which is mostly true. But the odds have shifted, and generally, Vegas knows what it's talking about with the draft. I remember a few years ago when Aiden Hutchinson was the best player in the draft.
Yep.
And Kevon Thibodeau was the second best edge rusher in the draft. But Trayvon Walker was the favorite to go first. I don't know if you remember this year. And I was like, why is Trayvon Walker going first? Like, Aiden Hutchinson is by far better. Kevon Thibodeau is probably better too.
And
what did Vegas know? Trayvon Walker went first, and he's been a good pick. He's had double-digit sacks every year. And Aiden Hutchinson is more of the X-Factor star player.
Yeah.
But Trayvon Walker may have been an even better fit in Jacksonville, and it ended up working better for both of them. Anyway, thus to say, Vegas knows what it's talking about. So I've been shifting towards picking David Bailey, edge rusher from Texas Tech, to go to the Jets. But then the Cardinals. Yes, Arvell Reese is very much in play for them at 3. I keep calling it 2 because we don't even have the Raiders listed right here. But there's a chance they take a tackle, Francis Mauigoa being the first one on the board, as they need line help.
Yeah, very much so.
They're also the favorite to take Ty Simpson, likely in the second round, or to trade back into the first. We'll talk more about that later. But they've also seen their odds for Jeremiah Love increase a lot. So could Jeremiah Love go to even number 3? Well, depending on how their pick falls. Well, I guess I should probably give more of my opinion on what I think is going to happen.
What you think would happen.
Based on what you know of the Cardinals roster and everything, Baden, and seeing how they performed last year, obviously this isn't their year. It's either Gardner Minshew or Jacoby Brissett, who is currently holding out because he thinks he deserves to be paid as a starter, or Ty Simpson, Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller, whoever comes in the draft. What do you think they should go with here? If any of these 4 players or just whoever else is on the board?
First off, let me just say, Jacoby Brissett, I love your confidence. No, but I do think when you look at their team and you look at the needs, Jeremiah Love isn't at the top. Would he be an incredible asset to the team? Yes. Would it be helpful to have more running back help, especially someone like Jeremiah Love? Yes. But I think you have forgive me, what's his name? They're starting.
Oh, James Conner?
Yeah, you have James Conner. You know he's consistent. He's had injury troubles, and I do think most likely he's nearing the end of his career. But like you have that consistent guy. It's not like it's a big zero in the backfield right now. Well, at running back. And so I think looking at it, I would lean more to on like the defensive side with either Bailey or Reese, whoever falls. But also I think Malagoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that that's a good option for the line because we know they need line help. I would say probably for me, the least likely when I look at the gaps they have are Jeremiah Love. But like as you said, if the odds seem to be incredibly rising, Vegas knows what they're talking about. It wouldn't surprise me, but I just think there's other gaps that could be filled first. I think would be my overall analysis of that.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I think what it comes down to is, do you go with your need, or do you just go best player available?
Yeah.
Depends on the GM, depends on the draft room, and it also depends on how they have these players scouted. There's a chance that like Francis Mauigoa with his injury troubles isn't even in their top 10 players.
Yeah.
There's a chance that Jeremiah Love is number 2 and Arvell Reese is number 1, so it doesn't even matter. They just see Arvell Reese as a better player, or David Bailey, depending on what the Jets pick. I do think edge rusher is enough of an X factor, and just with how this year is going, that's where I lean. But again, Jeremiah Love, best running back prospect since Saquon Barkley. It's going to be really hard to pass up on this guy. I think number 3 is probably his ceiling because the Jets, they have Breece Hall. They're paying him a lot.
Yeah.
I guess franchise tag this year, so maybe it's not even, I think he's on the franchise tag, so it's maybe not even long term. But 3 is probably Jeremiah Love's ceiling. But there's a very valid chance he goes there. But I agree. Probably edge rusher, even O-line. But this isn't their year, so honestly, just whatever helps you most for next year.
If you can kind of look forward and be like, okay, we're going to be able to get Jeremiah Love in here, get him reps, he's going to get comfortable, he could be the change in a few years because we're not going to the Super Bowl next year. So we just get the best players we can and then build the line, build the defense around. Like that happens. Yeah. And so that wouldn't be ridiculous to see.
I like that. But whatever happens, all 4 of those players, or I guess technically 3, because either Arvell Reese or David Bailey won't be on the board. All of those players will be in play for the Cardinals. This is kind of one of those, it's the first more open pick. Generally, there's that point in the draft where you get to, it's like, all right, like, you knew where it was going to go up to here. I think last year that was like the Jags-Browns pick that flipped. Yeah. That was where
you kind of lost it.
You kind of lost it, and even though they picked the player that we expected to be picked, but it just was a different team. There's always that spot in the draft, and the Jets is kind of a coin flip. Yeah. But then the Cardinals is more wide open.
It seems like a coin flip, but either way, you're like they're going to go defensive guy.
Yes, exactly. They're going to go one of the top 2 edge rushers.
And that's kind of what it even feels like. Even like through, I would even say like 6, is the feeling of like, if this guy doesn't go here and he falls, they should pick him up. If he doesn't go here and he falls, it's like you kind of have 3 or 4 prospects where they could go to any, 3 of the 5 teams, but it just depends on whether he falls or not and who's left.
Yeah. It's really that, like what we talked about last episode. You hit that point, like basically top 11-ish, that at that point it's like they need pretty much everything. Not really the Chiefs because they're the Chiefs. But then once you get past that, it's like easier to predict like players. Like the Vikings, I think I've picked a safety maybe a running back in every now and then.
Yeah.
But like there's 3 good first-round safeties. Almost definitely one of them is going to be there by the Vikings, whether it's Dylan Thieneman or Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. But the top 10 are not like the Vikings, where they have one need. There's a great player to fill it. It's going to be there at that spot.
Yeah.
It's been 10 minutes. We've only talked about the top 2 picks.
We're getting into it.
We're giving you the analysis we promised last episode right here.
Award-winning analysis.
And the Titans are probably the hardest to pick right here in the top. The hardest one so far, because I think what they do depends a little less on what's above. Yes, they have Robert Saleh, who is a defensive mastermind, at least as a DC, maybe not as a head coach. Mm-hmm. But I don't think the edge rusher is as much of a priority as some of the other players. Maybe that's just because most likely they'll both be off the board, and so most mock drafts I've seen don't have them.
Yeah.
But their line is a little stronger than the Jets and Cardinals is right now, I think. At least from what I remember looking at. But this is, I think, the prime spot for Jeremiah Love, just because they have an offense that's developing, helps out Cam Ward a lot. They're in a spot where they have a second-year quarterback, still rookie contract, but he has a little bit of experience. You need to help him out. This even could be a spot, hypothetically, for Carnell Tate, whoever's the number one receiver, to give Cam Ward help.
Yeah.
But Jeremiah Love makes more sense here. Or, because Robert Saleh, defensive mastermind, this could be the ceiling for a player like Sonny Styles. He's a very Robert Saleh-like player. You think about him as a DC for the 49ers, working with Fred Warner, who is Sonny Styles' constant pro comparison is Fred Warner. So I think Sonny Styles is very much in play for the Titans. Robert Saleh-type player, has been gaining traction there. But I'm leaning Jeremiah Love. And if they aren't as high on Styles as people assume, David Bailey or Arvell Reese could also go here as well. That's what I'm thinking for the Titans. Baden, what do you have for Tennessee at number 4?
Yeah, I like Jeremiah Love there. I think especially it would remind if they had like Cam Ward and then bringing in a young running back with Jeremiah Love. I think that kind of reminds me of even something like the Giants, where you have these two young superstars. And number one, I feel like not morale, but it gets like the fans are getting into it. Mm-hmm. You're like, you have these two big names, because I mean, they have Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears, but it just didn't work.
Exactly.
It sounds like, really, if you look at these guys, you're like, that sounds like it should work, but it just didn't. It didn't play out. And so I think that there is room to bring in a running back, and I think that's going to make a big difference on the team. And also, I just think the Tennessee Titans, them and their fans have been down for a while. And I think that can kind of bring something back. It can bring some type to Tennessee to have just these two guys, these two young guys, big names coming in there. And then, if they're even a little bit successful, it just kind of brings some hope. It brings some flash, moving into the next season. And so I really like Jeremiah Love here. I think I like him here more than to the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I'm on the same page. And even I like what you brought up with fan morale and just bringing up team spirits and just the character that it gives the team as a whole. Mm-hmm. And the Giants, I think, are a very similar team to where Sonny Styles has been mocked here a lot because almost definitely Arvell Reese, David Bailey are going to be off the board. If they're not, we could see it in play, but I really don't think that that's where the Giants are going to go, is D-line. So I think Sonny Styles is good here, but if the Titans go Sonny Styles, Jeremiah Love has been mocked to the Giants a lot, which they have Cam Skadaboo. He's been hurt. They have Tyron Tracy. They're better off at running back than most of these teams are. But Jeremiah Love's a generational prospect. Really, he's the best player available at this point. So it depends on their philosophy on if they think Jeremiah Love is a fit here, if he's even available. Mm-hmm. I like to think he's not, because I think the Titans are a good fit for him, and I don't really want to see him on the Giants. I think Skadaboo should get another shot just because he's fun to watch.
Me too.
And I don't want Jeremiah Love going in the NFC East.
No.
Because the Giants are going to be good with Jackson Dart at some point, probably. And I don't want to see it happen this quickly. Mm-hmm. Just think about how long it would be for NFL fans. Like, great, Jackson Dart and Jeremiah Love in the playoffs again. Yeah. But I think that if Sonny Styles isn't their pick, a tackle is also in great play here for the Giants. The Giants, of course, also now have 2 picks in the top 10, trading away Dexter Lawrence. great nickname, by the way, for the 10th overall pick from the Bengals. Well, the last time we saw the Giants with two top 10 picks, they picked Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeaux. Didn't really pan out super well for them. So hopefully they can nail this a little better. New head coach, new regime. Their new head coach, of course, is also why I think Sonny Styles is in play here. Harbaugh, another guy who's had great defenses in the past. Sure, he's technically more of a special teams guy, which is weird to think about. But you think about the Ravens defenses that he's played with and the middle linebackers, or like off-ball linebackers they've had. Roquan Smith, of course, more of a middle linebacker, I think, than an outside, like weak side linebacker. I could be wrong. I don't know defensive personnel as well as I should.
Yeah.
But Sonny Styles is a good fit here. But tackle, of course, they also need to protect the quarterback. But once you get to number 6, the Browns, this is where the board, I think, gets really weird. 1, the Browns need a lot. 2, this is a prime spot for trade rumors. The Cardinals, I think pretty much any of these teams past the Raiders, if they get a good call to trade down, they're all for it. Because they need a lot. They don't have a whole ton of picks. And they're just best player available at this point. Maybe not, like if the Jets are super high on these linemen, the Cardinals, I think, really just need a lot. There's going to be tackles available no matter how far you trade back. You're going to find edge rushers if you trade back a few picks. There's a chance that Ruben Bain will still be on the board. Even if you trade back a lot, Akeem Mesidor will still be there. Even like Titans, they could trade back if Love is off the board, if their player's off the board. But the Browns are one that most likely all of the prime players, like Jeremiah Love is most likely going to be gone. These 2 edge rushers are probably going to be gone. Sonny Styles probably isn't enough for you to stay here. No. And Sonny Styles might be the perfect player for a team like the Cowboys to trade up for. Cowboys with picks 12 and 20, lots of great potential for them to trade up, popular trade rumors, and they need a linebacker. I've changed my opinion a lot on the Cowboys draft needs. I looked at their corner position and saw that as a big need, and yes, it is. But the Cowboys don't really have a linebacker, right? I mean, they have linebackers, of course. But, like, they need a linebacker, big time. Yeah. Number 20, they could pick Georgia's linebacker, C.J. Allen. I've mocked that to number 20 at the Cowboys a lot. Or they could trade up, get Sonny Styles, automatic game changer, weak side linebacker. But that's to say, number 6 is where the trade rumors are really real, and I think the Browns are going to be very willing to trade back, eager to trade back. Do they have 2 first-round picks? They already do. They have number 24 also. Yeah. So think about Browns trading back with the Cowboys, having picks 12, 20, and 24. I think that the Browns would be ecstatic about that, and the Cowboys get their player, have a linebacker that can play, like plug and play. That's Sonny Styles. And the Cowboys can, like even third round, find a corner or safety or edge rusher that can get them good reps. If the Cowboys stay at 12 and 20, I'll talk more about them I'll talk more about them in a minute after I finish talking about trade rumors and stuff. But 12 and 20 might just be really bad positioning for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Other teams that have been mocked to trade up, Chiefs, just because they have 2 first-rounders. Dolphins have 2 first-rounders. They don't want to trade up. They just need all the picks they can get.
I was about to say, they need everything they can get.
And then there's always these surprise teams trading up. Like, who would have thought the Jags would trade up to number 5 to get Travis Hunter last year?
Yeah, no.
You could, if some team's just really high on Sonny Styles and he's there, if Jeremiah Love's still on board, you're going to get really high offers. But we're going to see, I would not be surprised to see the Cardinals trade down, or the Titans, or the Giants. I'd be a little surprised to see the Jets. The Browns, if there hasn't been any trades yet, I would almost be surprised to not see them trade down, depending on how the board is falling. A lot of this, of course, just depends on how the board falls. But I've kind of given my opinion on how I think the board will fall. And this would leave most of the top players would be off the board, but Caleb Downs would still be there, Carnell Tate would still be there, Ruben Bain would still be there if someone's really high on one of those guys. Or if Sonny Styles isn't there, if Jeremiah Love isn't there, then this would be a perfect spot for someone to trade up with the Browns. But trade rumors are really hard to mock because, and also PFF software doesn't let you do free mocks or free trades in your mock drafts. So I'm more just saying trade here, fill in the blank in your own mind.
Yeah.
I'll be really excited to see how this falls on Thursday night.
For sure. And yeah, kind of like just reiterating what you said. A lot of these teams, when they have so many gaps and they are just kind of a best player available team, I think that's really when you see so many, or at least when you have to consider the possibility of just there being surprising trades.
Yeah.
But it's like, probably at least 3 of these top 6 teams could easily trade down and still get a player that's going to fill in a gap.
Exactly. Probably even better by getting 2 players who aren't as good,
but fill in both those gaps. Yeah, you might need. And if, obviously the Raiders, you need a quarterback. You're going to go for Fernando Mendoza. But it's a team like we already talked about, the team like the Cardinals. They have so many gaps that it's like trading down and getting 2 players that fill in, defense and tackle. That's not a bad idea. So it is one of those drafts where it seems like there's a lot of those teams at the top where it's like, or at the, the top of the draft where it's like, they really just need so much. A trade's not going to hurt them. It's probably going to help.
Exactly. And I love the Cardinals. Just think about Cowboys trading up at the Cardinals. Cowboys get to trade up, get Sonny Styles or even one of these edge rushers. I think Arvell Reese, he thinks of himself as an edge rusher, played more outside linebacker in college. He can be kind of that, what are they, chess piece on defense? What do they call it? Something like that. They can play anywhere on the field for the Cowboys. Even like a Parsons, if he was on the Cowboys or something.
Now that would be crazy.
And the Cardinals would have picks 12 and 20. 12 would be a great spot for an O-lineman like Spencer Fano. Or I'm missing other O-linemen who are going to be available at that point. There's another one, and I'm just totally
Monroe Freeling?
Yes, that's the number 2 tackle in this draft. Like that. One of those guys, or even if they want edge rusher, guard is what I meant to say. Like Ioane from Penn State. And then 20, I think is an even better spot for an edge rusher, or depending on, you could go 12 edge rusher, 20 O-linemen. But Akeem Mesidor, if Ruben Bain is still up there at 12, which I don't think he will be, but there's a chance. Kendrick Falk, Cassius Howell, even if you're really high on him. Lots of edge rushers that you could go with at number 20. I think that it would be a win-win mock trade. But again, it's really hard to mock trades. And I know that, it's been reported the Cardinals are fielding trade calls. They're probably just looking for best offer available and are going to pull the trigger on draft night.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But
so that's what makes it fun.
Exactly.
Not knowing, sitting there that night, and then you're just like, what?
Yeah, I feel really smart when I do guess it right. But when I don't, it's even more memorable.
Oh, yeah.
What? There's a few teams that I want to dive into on what I don't know what they're going to do. But before I do that, we talked about Sonny Styles a little. I just want to talk about some of his floor and ceiling, or ceiling and floor, I guess would be the order. But how high is too high for a weak side linebacker? Because if you look at first linebacker drafted each year, most of the time, outside linebacker, think of a TJ Watt, someone who almost functions like an edge rusher, gets a lot of sacks. Will Anderson, outside linebacker, number 3 overall. Highest linebacker drafted in a while because of the position he plays. Weak side linebacker, I think about, is generally late first round, early second round. Edgerrin Cooper for the Packers has been really good, but was an early second round pick. Sonny Styles, obviously, weak side linebacker. He was a safety, converted to linebacker, but he's going to be a top 10, if not top 5, probably top 5 pick. He's insanely athletic and versatile, as I mentioned, like Fred Warner. If Fred Warner's on the board, he's maybe the best prospect in this draft, just because
yeah.
of the game changer he is. And of course, it's hard to say Sonny Styles will be Fred Warner, but if that's his potential, he could go as high as, like, if someone trades up to 3 or even 4, if there's no trades. And his floor, 12. If the Cowboys don't move and he falls to them, then he's going to go there.
Yeah.
I would be extremely
It seems
surprised
like
if it's
he
not.
would fit perfectly in that spot.
But at this point, it's hard to say that he's going to fall that low. If with no trades, which isn't going to happen, but like 4 to the Titans, great spot. 5th to the Giants, great spot. Even the Browns could be a good spot at number 6. 7th to the Commanders, great spot. But I'd say ceiling 3, floor 12, because a weak side linebacker is just really hard to draft or really hard to mock. It just depends on how teams value this player and this position.
Yeah, just how that specific player fits into their scheme. Just seems like for the Cowboys, like having that dynamic guy, like getting that dynamic guy back after losing your dynamic guy could be a massive game changer.
Yeah, which of course leads to talking about what the Cowboys are going to do with 12 and 20. And as I mentioned, 12 is maybe not the worst spot. 12 is a tough spot for the Cowboys to sit in because you look at what positions the Cowboys need. They need a linebacker, secondary, especially corner, probably safety also. Edge rusher is nice too, but not as much of a need as these two. And if you look at the players who are like worthy of a number 12 pick at those positions, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, probably Mansour Delane, maybe Jermod McCoy, Dylan Thieneman. You could even think about Ruben Bain is an edge rusher who would probably be gone by then, but if he's there, so it's hard to say, 12, you don't necessarily want to use it on a player that you don't have ranked number 12, but no one's probably going to want to trade up with you to number 12. And so if you have to stay there, there's a chance. I've seen some mock drafts with even Jordan Tyson going, you don't need a receiver this year, but being forced to pick best player available. Number 20 is harder to pick, and I think it's a little bit of a better spot with more opportunities for just seeing how the board falls. But also, it's hard to say that you should trade up because it's 2 first-round picks going to 1, but it helps them secure the player they need and does leave a gap either at corner or safety or linebacker. But it might be easier to fill a spot with a dynamic linebacker like Sonny Styles and then maybe not go quite as make a splash as much at corner or safety or edge rusher, but get the dynamic player that you want. That's what I'm thinking for the Cowboys. I don't know you've of course been a Texans fan, seen the C.J. Stroud and then trade up for Will Anderson, and that's worked out.
That worked out
just about as well as it could.
well.
And then of course Cowboys being a little bit of a different position, haven't been a bottom of the barrel team the last. No offense, Texans are better than the Cowboys now,
but they sure weren't
exactly
for a while.
What do you think, from your perspective, the Cowboys should do?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like you're saying. It's a kind of a tough spot being like you have 2 first-round picks, but they're just in that middle section where it's like you don't know if the player you need is going to drop as far as you want to drop is going to fall as far as you want him to, if he's going to fall to you, and then it's like, well, I think that where the Cowboys are right now, because they're not one of the worst teams, it doesn't hurt to try and trade up, sell yourself with 1 first-round pick, and get your guy. Because there's a lot of teams that have so many gaps that they need all the help they can get. They need as many players in this first round as they can get. The Cowboys aren't necessarily there, I don't think. And so I think that it would benefit them more to get the guy that they know that they need that's going to be a game changer, whether that's Sonny Styles. Seems like it would be Sonny Styles. If they think that they can trade up for him, I think that that's going to do more help for a middle-of-the-pack team to get your guy than to miss him and get two guys that are going to fill other gaps that aren't as needed.
Yeah.
And of course, you can still fill that gap. You know, if say Sonny Styles gets taken, you take another linebacker at 12. You're still filling the gap. But if you here, bring it all in. If you see somebody that you think is going to go in the top 6, that you're like, we need that guy, I think the Cowboys should trade up.
Yeah, I like that. Just thinking, either you get your guy by trading up, or you fail enough, you're going to get another high draft pick. Like,
exactly.
And of course, I think that I'm typing. I have my bullet point. Should they trade up? I typed in yes, all caps, and I deleted it. I didn't want you to think I was kind of like, say yes, baby, say yes.
No, I didn't even see that.
Looking back at my notes later on, and remember that's the conclusion that we came to. But I guess just realizing that this is going to be a fluid draft night. Maybe that's even why there haven't been these huge blockbuster trades yet, except for the Giants and Bengals, because they're waiting to see how the board falls.
Yeah.
The Cardinals may even have their guy that if the Jets don't take him, they're not trading back. Again, depending on how the board falls, I think is what we'll see. 1 with the Cowboys, and 2 even with a team like the Chiefs. 9 and 29 is what they have in the first round. They could trade up. They have the potential to do it. But the Chiefs are a weird team where they were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And have won it, I don't know, a billion times. And so they might even be a team that's like, okay, let's trade back. But, like, no one's going to want to trade back with the Chiefs. And so they're kind of a wild card that I think they just wait for how the board falls. If Mansour Delane is there, I think number 9 is great. I've seen some with the Saints picking him, or even the Commanders. Caleb Downs even, just having some secondary help. The corner's a bigger need for the Chiefs, and edge rusher. If Reuben Bain is still there. But if they think that Reuben Bain or Mansour Delane's not going to be there, they could trade up, or even trade up and get like a Arvell Reese, David Bailey. I don't know if that's what the Chiefs want. I feel like edge rusher and corner would be nice for them, getting a corner at 9, edge rusher at 29. But we'll see how the board falls for the Chiefs. The Dolphins, I think, are the opposite. 11 and 30, they don't want to trade up. They need those picks, and they have 2 positions they desperately need, wide receiver and corner. So I think they go wide receiver with one and corner with the other. If someone wants to trade up, like to jump someone by trading up to 11 or 30, I think the Dolphins would take that. But assuming they sit here at 11 and 30, I last episode said go corner first and wide receiver. A lot of these later wide receivers, the Denzel Boston, KC Concepcion, Omar Cooper, one of them is going to be available at 30. Now I'm not so sure. I think it's more valuable now. I've changed my mind. See? I did my research, changed my mind. I'm willing to change my mind and admit I was wrong. Of course, it depends on how the board falls. But I think wide receiver first. I think Mekhi Lemon will be number 2 wide receiver. He'll be available at this point. Then if they go corner late, they can get someone like even safety, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, a corner like Avion Terrell. I've mocked Emmanuel McNeil-Warren a few times, trying to remember Avion Terrell again, and actually this one I have Jermod McCoy first and KC Concepcion later. But I think that corner is a good spot there, even safety, just waiting some defender there. If you miss out on wide receiver in the first round, you're kind of cooked. You need a wide receiver.
Yeah, that is a huge gap that you need to fill.
I mean, like I said, I think I said last episode, there are probably UFL rosters better wide receivers than the Dolphins right now.
That's not ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Jalen Tolbert is not your wide receiver 1, especially when you're bringing in Malik Willis on kind of a make-or-break contract.
Yeah.
But that leads just talking about how will these wide receivers fall. 1, there's 2 teams, Browns and Dolphins, that I think if they don't take a wide receiver, they're stupid. They need one. They have a quarterback that just needs the help, or like Browns, a hypothetical quarterback, prospect number X that needs the help.
Exactly.
But then if you look at teams, like they could take a wide receiver. Some of them more likely than others. But if they don't, like it makes sense. Saints, I think, are very likely to take a wide receiver. Panthers probably, they're closer to 50-50. Patriots, depending on how the board falls. But, like, Giants, Chiefs, Rams with Devontae Adams getting old, Ravens, Jets, Steelers with just some question marks. Even though they have DK and Michael Pittman now, still some question marks there. Eagles with A.J. Brown most likely being traded after June 1st. Bills, even though they got DJ Moore, still need some help. And I mentioned Patriots. Like, all of these teams could take a wide receiver, and there's 6 max that are going in the first round. So how are they going to fall? Last mock drafts, I'll run through. I've liked Carnell Tate, top 10. I have him going to the Browns pretty often, number 6. Dolphins going, Mekhi Lemon, that number 2 receiver. And then I've grown to like the Rams picking wide receiver. I think tackle or guard could be really helpful here. But 1, it plans for the future. 2, just get Stafford another Super Bowl. Like, imagine that 3-headed monster of Devontae Adams, those contested catches, Puka Nacua doing everything, and then having your number 3 being a first-round wide receiver might be impossible to stop.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
So, Jordan Tyson right now is my number 3, but because of the injury questions, I could easily see someone going ahead of him, and I think Omar Cooper is number 4, but Casey Concepcion being kind of a polarizing prospect, but lots of upside for him. So I could see him going really high. Right now I have Omar Cooper going 16 to the Jets and Casey Concepcion going 19 to the Panthers, giving him a dynamic receiver, kick returner type player, but also just another receiver to help out Bryce Young. And then to close out the first round, I have the Eagles taking Denzel Boston, just prepping for A.J. Brown to be gone. But what's the order going to be? As I mentioned right now, I think it'll be Omar Cooper, Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston. But some of those could be ahead of Jordan Tyson. Casey Concepcion could be first. Some teams could be really high on Omar Cooper. He had some great plays last year at Indiana. But wide receiver, I think, is a polarizing just position that's really going to determine how this draft falls. As I mentioned, there's lots of teams here. Baden, is there one of those that you see that, besides like Browns, Dolphins, and even like Saints, maybe, that you think if they don't take a wide receiver, I guess I said Saints, and I don't even have them taking one here. But just with health questions with Chris Olave and the like, what do you think?
I like Giants. Then I really like what the Giants have been doing in this offseason, the past 2 offseasons. Because, I mean, you have Malik Neighbors. He's coming off of injury. And then Darnell Mooney, he can be good. It's still just some inconsistency there. And then then Calvin Austin. I feel like wide receiver is not and then, like, I don't know. There's just a lot of guys that can be good, but they haven't been. Like Darius Slayton.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's some questions there. I don't know if I would say they're stupid if they don't go wide receiver, but I think they definitely can. Honestly, I would say out of this lineup, I would say maybe Panthers, honestly.
Because they have some like high upside. Think about Xavier Legette was a first rounder. The year before.
Oh, well, maybe not. They got to Troy McMillan.
That is true. Because he was a rookie of the year prospect last year.
But then Adam Thielen retired. Did he retire?
Yes, because he, he's not on their roster. I'm pretty sure he did retire.
Yeah, he retired, and then
they have John Mechie. But he has not been the NFL prospect we hoped.
No, definitely not. So I would say honestly, I think they probably could use that even more than the Giants. I think the teams that would be stupid for not picking one are the ones that you listed off as besides these teams. I think another kind of I don't know if not really a sleeper is the Bills, because it seemed like the last 2 seasons the narrative has been Josh Allen's doing everything by himself, and even
Keon Coleman hasn't been the guy.
Coleman has not produced in the way that I think they were hoping he would. And so I honestly think that, and then DJ Moore, he's there, and Khalil Shakir played very well coming into the playoffs. But I definitely think you can get some help there, because really, like, that has been kind of the narrative that we've seen is it's all on Josh Allen. He's having to carry these teams. He's, the Superman.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't hurt to get some help for him. But, I mean, past the teams that you've already stated, that would be like the Browns and Dolphins, where it's like they are going to be dumb if they don't take it. A lot of these are they have guys, but there's just some inconsistency there. And so it would be nice to bring in help. But I think, probably for me, Giants, Bills, and Panthers. I like wide receivers to those teams.
Yeah. There's not a ton of teams that's like, they're perfect. They just need a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Make it easier on us. But nope, it's not how it works. I'll save the most polarizing prospect for last. But Kenyon Sadiq is another one that I've had a fun time mocking. At first, I had him like Bucks pretty much every time, because I think that would just be such a fun passing attack. Have we talked about last time, like Igbuka, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, and then have the tight ends that can play like a wide receiver, but also just be that dynamic like tight end. But a lot have him going to the Ravens, which I did not like at first, because they have Mark Andrews. But he's old, and we saw what Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely did together. So I like him going to the Ravens. But if he doesn't go there, I like him going to the Bucks. But if he doesn't go there, I like him going to the Panthers. I think a tight end there, it's a big need, could help out like a wide receiver, but also just be that dynamic tight end we've talked about, who can block like an O-lineman and catch like a wide receiver. But again, there's a chance someone trades up. Like the Bucks are one spot behind the Ravens. The Rams probably, maybe be willing to trade down a couple. Or they could even jump way up, trade back with like Cowboys or Dolphins or one of these to jump the Ravens and get Kenyon Sadiq.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's really going to happen, but he's been a fun player to try to mock.
Hey, that's what the big chat thinks. I was just asking. I was looking up their tight end room and it said Jatavion Sanders, Tommy Tremble, and Mitchell Evans for the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, this is a direct quote, while this group is considered solid for blocking and developing, the team is actively looking for an explosive pass-catching threat to aid quarterback Bryce Young. So, and artificial intelligence thinks that that's a good idea, the Panthers.
Yeah, and like there are other dynamic tight ends, like I think Eli Stowers, but Kenyon Sadiq is just one of a kind. But we said that about Kyle Pitts too, and
that's true. That one game though, that one game this last season.
But even like David Njoku, has been a dynamic tight end. Sure, he's older, had some injuries, but he's still a free agent. Yeah. If like one of these three teams could be a great pick for Njoku after free agency or after the draft, just free agency, he'll pick up a little CD's needs. But the player who maybe not the most polarizing, but quarterback 2, Ty Simpson. 1, is he a first rounder? I'm not sure. I'm about 50-50 on my mock drafts. I have a lot of him going to the Steelers. I like to look at what teams have done to think about what they're going to do in this mock draft. What should the Steelers do? Probably draft an O-lineman. What do they never do? Well, that. So, I think that they will go something like a running back or, what have they done with like the 20th overall pick? Get Kenny Pickett. 21st overall pick? Well, Ty Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a very plausible option for Ty Simpson. Other than that, he probably not going in the first round. None of those teams after the Steelers, besides maybe the Browns, but I don't think that they pick a quarterback in the first round right now.
Yeah.
But other than that, none of them need a quarterback. So someone could trade up, like the Cardinals. The Cardinals are the favorites right now to take him. They have the second pick in the second round. second or third pick in the second round. I think is the second one. But there's a chance they could trade up like what the Giants did for Jackson Dart.
Mm-hmm.
So is he a first round? I'll leave that question unanswered.
Yeah, we sure are going to see a couple days.
Of course, because a player like this, it depends. A lot of it's the value of the position. But again, the Cardinals need a lot. They might not want to trade up.
Mm-hmm.
But Ty Simpson, polarizing prospect. If he's in the first round, I think it's either the Steelers take him or someone like the Cardinals. I can't even really think of another team right now that would be willing to trade up into the second round that has the potential to do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
So one of these two teams, if he doesn't go 21st overall to the Steelers, either late first round from a trade or early second round to the Cardinals, I think is what I'm looking at right now. But, wow, that was really bad. But,
yeah, for sure.
Don't make fun of me. But yeah, Ty Simpson, I don't know, because Taylor Green could be quarterback 3. Drew Aller has had a lot of buzz as a quarterback 3. I love sleepers like Sawyer Robertson and Haynes King, but again, none of those are going to be the starting quarterback you want, and maybe Ty Simpson will be. Who knows?
Just definitely a very different quarterback draft class than we've seen in a while. Just a lot more heavy on different positions. Quarterbacks, number one, when you look at teams, quarterbacks are less needed. More like you said, there's two teams that really need to get a quarterback. Those are the teams that could use a backup right now that they can develop. So like there's less need and there's less
to go around.
And so it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, and really there are those only two that I see developing into a starter. But again, like Brock Purdy is the best quarterback in this class.
Exactly.
He's Mr. Irrelevant.
Sometimes guys just get where they need to be. Tom Brady. I don't think anybody would have picked that.
No. But like I mentioned, those guys, Sawyer Robertson, Haynes King, even Cade Klubnik, I think that if they land in the right spot, they could be a great sleeper. That all three of those guys are maybe not Cade Klubnik, he could be a day 2, but I think all of those guys are going to be day 3 picks. Even like there's a chance that some of those guys don't even get drafted. Mm-hmm. I like their upsides enough to where I think all of them should be drafted. Even above guys like, a Diego Pavia just isn't an NFL type quarterback. Yeah. He's even one that you could look at a position change for, even though I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with those guys, but Ty Simpson is the only guy besides Mendoza that I think has the upside of an NFL starting quarterback at this point.
Mm-hmm. Without that development. I think that's a fair analysis.
Well, those are the most polarizing prospects to me, and the most interesting teams to me. We went a little longer than I expected to. I guess I prepped well for this episode.
Exactly. See, that just means that it was successful.
Yeah. Draft is less than 48 hours from when we were recording.
Indeed.
I guess this will probably come out sometime tomorrow, and so give you a little bit of time to listen to it before Fernando Mendoza says, "Let's go,
let's go,"
I can't wait.
Updates his LinkedIn.
Exactly.
And an NFL quarterback.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you got anything else, Baden?
No, I think we just about got in there and covered it all.
Awesome. Well, we'll get some more to you probably before summer, and then we'll figure it out for the summer.
Yes, sir.
But here's the draft. We're excited. Hope you're excited too. And thanks for listening to the Nice Catch podcast. We're here to serve you, our listener, and give you the football content you deserve. If you love football, continue to tune in each episode from the offseason all the way through the playoffs. This is the Nice Catch podcast.